I don't get how guys do it. God bless them that do. But I just can't find the balance of getting back into stand-up and being a good dad. I can't.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Yeah.
With everything I'm doing. And
I don't like, by the way, I stopped again in 10 seconds. I don't like that insinuation. If I was a stand-up comedian, if I was one of Brendan's friends, former colleague, former peer, I would take that very personally. He's essentially saying, if you're a successful stand-up comedian, if you're a touring stand-up comedian, you're a bad dad. You're a bad wife. You're a bad husband. You're a bad boyfriend. That's what he's basically saying. If you're a successful touring stand-up comedian, you cannot be a good parent. You cannot balance. You cannot juggle. You cannot multitask. You cannot fucking delegate. You are a bad person if you're going after your dreams. If you're trying to pursue your dreams in the hope of achieving them so you can support your family and maybe the family to come and generations to come after that. You're a bad person for doing that. The same thing he was doing, by the way. The same thing he was doing a couple of years ago. He's now saying if you're doing it at a high level, you're a bad parent. Just because he couldn't handle it, just because it showed up or highlighted his inadequacies, just because it nearly broke up his family, he's now telling you, you can't do it. It's bad. What a piece of shit.
you know, when I left I was at Showtime for 6 years and then went to do my own thing.
Did he leave Showtime or did his contract not get renewed? Which technically means he got fired. That's a very interesting use of words there. Did you actually leave Showtime or did they not renew your contract? Which meant you had nowhere else to go but out and leave. By the way, let's find that Showtime clip. Let's find that fucking Showtime clip. We're in mood of clips now, aren't we? Let's do Showtime. Let's see. Somebody must have that clip here. Let's see when he leaves Showtime. Where is it? There we go. That's the one. That's the one. Brendan explains why he's leaving Showtime. There we go. Look at this. Even you can tell from the beginning he got fired. You can tell from the very start. From the very start by how he swallows. By how he swallows. No pause. By how he swallows. That he definitely got fired. You can tell. You can tell. You can tell. You can tell.
As far as Showtime goes, but it is official. I've decided to leave Showtime. And
that swallow. That fucking swallow, bro. That fucking swallow.
Showtime. And
one more time.
Time.
One more time. One more time.
Time. Time. And it starts.
I wish I could make beats because I feel I could sample that little gulp swallow with something. If I could make beats, I'm sure I could sample that little swallow and make a little tune. I'm sure I could.
It's official January 1st. And this isn't like some crazy breaking news for the guys listening back on the East Coast right now for Showtime or for Espinoza or Brian Daly. I talked to Brian Daly this morning. This was a decision I made months ago. You know,
it is kind of crazy breaking news. Because let's remember, Brendan was the fucking flag bearer. Brendan was meant to be the person that was going to help Showtime break into the MMA, break into UFC, because they never covered it before. He was meant to be the first person to do it. Because he's a former fighter, friends with Rogan, he got a beautiful deal, an amazing deal, where if I remember correctly, that it was a mixture of a TV show and actually, let me see if we can find the actual article. Brendan Schaub signs with Showtime. It was a pretty fucking sick deal. Showtime deal. I'm pretty sure it was like a digital and a fucking terrestrial deal. Let's see here. There's actually, there we go. This is the original article, right? Here we go. In 2018. This is a beautiful fucking deal that he fumbled. Right? Fumbled hard. Okay, is it gonna make me do a fucking thing? Is it gonna paywall this? If it makes me paywall this, I'll have to go somewhere else. But let's see what it does. Let it load. But everybody tuning in, if you like what you're seeing, see what you're liking, please like the stream, help a brother out. That'd be greatly appreciated. So smash subscribe, all that good shit. We're also trying to hit 500 members by the end of the 31 days. So if you like what you see what you like, make sure you get a membership, gift a membership, all that good shit. Link is in the description. all that good shit. You know how to do it. Okay, cool. Let's bypass this shit. We ain't on a paywall thing. Let's bypass this shit. Let's bypass this shit. Cause I'm a BIPOC. We're gonna bypass this fucking shit. Let's fucking go. Original article of Brendan Schaub signing his Showtime deal in 2018. Listen to this deal and figure out if somebody would walk away willingly from this. Former MMA fighter and podcaster Brendan Schaub is set to host a new Showtime digital show called Below the Belt. The premium cable announced on Thursday. The twice monthly 30-minute show will debut on February 28th. The show will explore the latest news in combat sports and pop culture. It will also feature interviews with combat sports and entertainment figures, road trips, fight camp visits, sketches, animation, and pop culture spoofs. He did absolutely none of that. He did some of it and it failed, but most of it he failed to deliver. So even for me, looking from the outside in, reading an article, I can see here KPIs that he didn't meet. I can see stuff that he was told to do, stuff that was in black and white that he didn't fucking do. So think about it. If you're Showtime and you're paying this guy, I don't know, 100 grand a month, and he's not delivering on the things that you've agreed on, are you going to renew his contract? Or are you going to tell him to fucking kick rocks? Especially, and to be fair to Brendan, let's give him a bit of a bly. To be fair to Brendan, it's also bad luck. Because at the time that he was at Showtime, towards the end, is when Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell got signed. Do you remember? That's when Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell got signed towards the end. So Showtime got to see, not for long by the way, because Showtime ended soon after, but Showtime got to see for maybe 6 months or so what it was like to employ people who actually knew what they were talking about. People who are actually good at their jobs. People that actually prepared. People that actually did research. People that actually were funny. They got to see, and they probably paid, let's be honest and true, most likely Showtime paid Brian Campbell and Luke Thomas less than what they paid Brendan by himself. They probably underpaid those two guys, and they got way more bang for buck for those 6 months. So they're like, you know what? Fuck this guy. Let him go. You know? So the timing was horrible. He did a bad job anyway. And then towards the end, Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell came in and showed him up. And they told him to kick rocks. But this is the original contract. The initial guest list for the sports athletes and entertainers scheduled to appear include Steve Austin, Paul Malignani, that guy, and Joe Rogan. I never saw Joe Rogan on there, by the way. Joe Rogan was meant to be a guest on that show. I wonder, honestly, the Rogan thing, this makes so much sense. Maybe he got the fucking Showtime deal because of Rogan anyway. Maybe the whole reason why he got the Showtime deal was because Showtime wanted to have Rogan on their fucking platform. They wanted to have Rogan on their network. So what better way than to have one of his best friends get him on the show? That might be the reason why he got the fucking deal in the first place. Fucking hell. He owes Rogan his entire life. Without Rogan, Brendan would definitely, funnily enough, that same insult that Brendan uses to Dana could apply to Brendan. Without Rogan, Brendan would definitely be holding pads at a kickboxing gym. Remember that insult he said to Dana? If Rogan wasn't alive, if Rogan didn't exist, Brendan would definitely be holding pads at a kickboxing gym. In the kickboxing cardio gym, for sure. He gave him everything on a silver platter. And he still managed to fuck some of it up. Rogan gave him everything on a silver platter, and he still manages to fuck it up. The multi-platform program will also include weekly podcasts and a composite program that will air once a month on Showtime Extreme. Wow. The deal included a TV show, effectively, and a podcast. Wow. The podcast will premiere on March 6th, and the composite program will premiere on March 29th. Below the Belt will be produced by Showtime Sports and Embassy Row. Wow. Look at that. Schaub was a frequent guest on Joe Rogan. They mentioned Rogan a lot in his blurb. Rogan's mentioned like 3 times on his blurb. He's a frequent guest on Rogan, and currently co-hosts a show called The Fire and the Kid with fellow Joe Rogan regular Brian Callen. Wow. It averages 4 million downloads a month. I wonder how many downloads they get now. Back in 2018, TFATK used to average 4 million downloads a month. I wonder how many downloads they get now. On the television side, Schaub was named the correspondent on After Party for the E! Network. Hosted this year's Golden Globes and Grammy Awards after shows. Can you imagine him doing the Grammys now? Oh my God, what a fall from grace. He will appear on the same role on networks upcoming Academy Awards show. Additionally, Schaub has performed sold-out live comedy shows at well-known comedy clubs, The Comedy Store and the Hollywood Life Factory. He is repped by CAA and Alchemy. I don't think he's repped by those guys anymore, by the way. I don't think Alchemy Entertainment represent him anymore.
Thing like my bandwidth is only so much.
Yeah.
And I found out when I left and started Thick Boy and had like 6 shows and I was doing stand-up, I'm on the road every weekend. Well, something's going to give, and what was given was my family life.
Yeah.
And I'm making bad decisions on the road. I'm around alcohol. I'm around girls. Like, it's just not.
I love Brendan, right? Only Brendan could have a moment of reflection, a moment of self-deprecation, a moment of honesty, and say, stand-up was bringing the worst out of me. But he doesn't say it like that. It's almost as if he's blaming stand-up. He's blaming stand-up for him cheating on his wife. He's blaming stand-up for him not being present in his kids' lives and not being the best dad he could be. He's blaming stand-up for that. Not himself, not his own decisions. It's stand-up's fault. That's why he can't do stand-up. Stand-up is so evil that it made him cheat on his wife multiple times. It nearly cost him his marriage. Stand-up is so bad, it made him not be a beast of a dad. It's stand-up's fault, not my fault. So he had a rare moment there where he nearly walked through the door of accountability. He nearly walked through the door of self-deprecation. He nearly walked through the door of humility. He nearly walked through the door of ownership. But his ego, his pride, his thin skin, his insecurities could not allow him. His blatant narcissism could not allow him to walk through there all the way. He had to, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's stand-up's fault. It's not my fault. It's a comedy store's fault. It's a comedy store's fault. They keep hiring all these sexy bartenders.
Powerful bunch.
Yo, big up Asad Aziz.
Props to him for trying to admit it. If I had a Ferrari, my own unlimited whiskey supply, and 4 Latinas and no DMs, I can't pretend I'd be a better man than Bappa. I'd be a certified torta pounder with a Bert Kreischer body. Fuck them kids.
That's fuck them kids. Exactly. But the thing about Brendan, he would be acting like he's better. That's the problem. He would act like he's better. We all know, all of us men, all of us red-blooded dicks get hard with the wind blows fucking in a weird direction men know if we were in the same place some of these guys were in, we'd be doing worse, if not the same. We know we would. But we're honest that we're pieces of shit. We're honest that we're fuck-ups. And we try and do good. We try and live honest lives. We try and be stand-up guys. These motherfuckers, they act like they're stand-up guys. They sometimes gaslight or try and shame us into thinking we're not good people. But then they're doing the worst behind the scenes. They're doing the worst in the green rooms. They're doing the worst out of fucking view. You get me? Fucking hell. And of course, it's still your fault. I'm sorry. You can't say, oh, because I'm rich and famous and I'm doing all this. This is why I'm cheating my wife multiple times. You're cheating because you're a piece of shit and you want to do that stuff. Accountability, please. Let's do that. I know sometimes women don't have accountability, but us men should always be accountable to ourselves. We should always have extreme ownership ringing in our head. It's always your fault. Doesn't matter if you're surrounded by 100 million fucking hoes. If you decide to go finger bang a fucking bartender in the fucking toilets when you got a fucking wife and 4 kids at home, you did that. You did that. Not the comedy club. Not she. You.
I hear you.
A good life for me to make decisions. And then when my son got really into baseball, you know, I'd do stand up. Well, that's at night, dude. So I was getting home at like 1 in the morning.
Tired, yeah.
Then my son's up at 7. Let's play catch because he has a game that day. And I'm hungover. I'm like, this ain't good, man. How long can I keep?
Hungover. So he's blaming the alcohol consumption. He's even blaming drinking alcohol on stand-up. When really, he started to drink alcohol because he saw a money grab. He started doing stand-up. He started performing at all these clubs. And he started noticing all these people drinking. And then he probably heard about George Clooney's deal, because that George Clooney deal was the time when everybody, all the celebrities kind of eyes lit up. Oh my God, George Clooney made how much with his tequila? And all the celebrities kind of ran and started making their own fucking tequila brands. But Brendan most likely noticed all these people drinking at comedy clubs and thought, oh, I know a cash grab. I'm going to make fucking Irish blended Japanese whiskey. That sounds fucking disgusting. Even when I say it, I'm lips my, I utter it out of my lips. I'm going to make whiskey and I'm going to put it and I'm going to bring it on tour with me. Brendan was so dumb, so ill-informed. He did no fucking research, no fucking R&D, no nothing. He honestly thought he could make whiskey and then just bring the bottles with him to comedy clubs, wherever he performed around the world. He thought he could sell whiskey from a fucking Shopify account. Just set up a fucking Shopify and just sell it like that online. He didn't know any of the fucking rules, regulations, whatever, zero. Just thought he could just sell it online like that. And maybe, in my opinion, that's what probably made him an alcoholic. I also have a weird theory that he was probably going through a bit of a hard time because he was probably realizing the end was coming. So he was trying to kind of drown his sorrows. I think he knew before we knew, obviously, that the end was coming. Showtime weren't going to, extend his deal. The fucking podcast, what do you think? Cast Media owed him a lot of money at that time, right? So I think he was drinking around that time to try to kind of, handle shit that was going on. But he's trying to make it seem like stand-up comedy is what made him drink. No, motherfucker. You started drinking because you like to drink. And you started a fucking whiskey brand. You don't mention that anymore, do ya?
This up, and I finally hit a wall, you know, and then I was just like, man, I'm done. I'm done. Especially when my baby girl came. She was sick, and I was supposed to be on tour.
My baby girl came. He uses up a sympathy box. He uses that
powerful bunch.
Yo, big up.
These MFs acting like paragons of family life, as if they wouldn't still be out eating moss sticks and chicken tenders, finger blasting waitresses at a brisk clip if they were still in demand. You're not a family man, but you're not a draw either.
Oh, the last line. You're not a family man, but you're not a draw either. Take a bow, MJ. Take a fucking bow. Factoid, punto, as they say in Espanol, punto, at the end of the sentence, punto.
My wife was like, maybe we should go. I'm like, this is crazy. We're even fucking talking about this. So I was like, I'm out.
Es verdad, punto, es verdad.
I'm out, man. Could I make more money if I went back into stand-up? Sure.
Yeah. I've been dealing with this one.
Would I make more money? Now, I press X to doubt. I press X. Like I said before, I think he quit stand-up because he's lazy. Rogan and all his friends left. All of his circle of friends, influence that could get him in clubs and stuff, who he relied on heavily, left. And you couldn't be bothered to try to make friends with the new people who were coming up in the comedy store, or the people that replaced the other bookers so he could get bookings again. Lazy. But if there was money to be made, I think he'd make an effort, because the money would allow him to buy more trainers, to buy more hats, to buy more jerseys, and to buy more cars. So he would do it. There's not a chance in hell he makes more money going back to stand-up. If anything, it probably cost him money. Because, that's the unique theory. Big up Unique. That's the unique theory. Unique's theory, which I'm starting to believe now more and more, big up fucking Unique. Unique's theory, his conspiracy theory, is that towards the end, Brendan wasn't actually getting booked to do these shows. He was booking his own shows. He was hiring these venues to do shows, comedy clubs to do shows, and flying himself out. And obviously, if you're booking your own shows and you're not selling any tickets and you're flying yourself out and putting yourself up accommodation-wise, that's going to make a dent. If you're not selling tickets, that's going to make a dent. So that's why he quit stand-up. Because financially it didn't make any sense to be flying all over the country every weekend, performing for 10 people, putting yourself up for the weekend, and then not making anything back. So he's saying you can make more money, when the truth is, no, you couldn't. You quit because you couldn't make money. So how can you make money if you couldn't back into it? Ah.